I dare you to be different. It's Devine. What's up, y'all? It's Lady Devine and a special guest, Mr. Aaron Pullins. So I thank y'all for tuning in today. It's gonna be a nice show, so sit back, get your wine. It's Wine Down Wednesday. You know how we do it. 72 wins, lost 10, balling with the flu, more than 2 wins, for sure, but add another 2. Little man made the big. Gotta do our disclaimer, y'all. It's not playing. Oh. Okay. Well, the views and opinions are not those of Busy One or myself or Aaron. It's just views and opinions. You know what I'm saying? We just talking. So don't hold us responsible for anything we say. You know, anything might come out my mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'm always talking. I talk too much about that. But it's all right. So we're going to do this commercial here. So y'all know y'all tuned in to Fashion Talk. We do this every week, every Wednesday at 7. We invite y'all. I don't know what's going on here. This is not playing. Hold on. It's a reason. Always on my time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and play a song until we get this female. What's going on? I don't want to play that song. Detroit players, this for my hooligans in Brooklyn. That's right, if the headline be there, headline. This song says days are unknown. Never lose, never choose to. Oh, you know why? Because we did this.
I'm just gonna follow your lead on the questions and wherever you go.
Sometimes your words just hypnotize me, and I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they're broken and you're so fake. All right, y'all. We're gonna start. Hold on. Thank you. Cue it up. Come on. It's my girls. They are actually. They are models of mine. Yeah. And they made the song up for me, so check it out. It's really nice. And Aaron to get to y'all comments. We see y'all. Yeah. No, of course not. It's not all in vain. 'Cause after all, I gotta show y'all my new jacket I just got in. You know, fast, right? Like, oh yeah, you can't spit. Oh yeah, it come off the shoulder. 4 days and 3 nights. Let's get your flight right. What y'all think? 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. Just got these in.
Very impressive.
We got one left in the meeting. They just be going like wildfire. Like to get different.
You got some on the back too.
Lady luck, lady luck, lady luck. What y'all think? Lady luck, yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. Welcome to Fashion Talk. I You got my shade not working. Let's go.
The views and opinions expressed by the host and or guest on this show are not that of Busy One Radio. Busy One Radio is a public platform where your opinions and your views are heard, talked about, and taken very seriously. These views and opinions are broadcasted to our listening audience for their entertainment. We thank you for listening to Busy One Radio.
Thank y'all for listening to Busy One, y'all, and tuning in to Fashion Talk. And do this. Hey y'all, it's your girl Lady Devine from Fashion Talk. I want you to tune in every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. and listen to all the fashion trends, what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear on Busy One Radio. I dare you to be different. It's Devine. I dare y'all to be different because it's Devine, y'all. Y'all be seeing the stuff that I post. Do y'all be paying attention? Because I know a lot of people, when I want to go out, I want to be the center of attraction. I want people to be like, damn, where did she get that from? You know what I'm saying? So if y'all looking for a style like that, come to Devine Lux, 800 Compton Road, Unit 17. And I take appointments on you because it's about you. It's not about everybody else. So I want a whole room full of people, and I don't give you your personal attention. You see what I'm saying? You can get personal attention at Devine Lux. And guess what? We open 24 hours. So when you get up at 9 o'clock and you be like, I don't have nothing to wear to go to this party, cows will be there. That's how we roll. So y'all, we here with Mr. Aaron Pullins. You know, Aaron been around for a very long time, doing a whole lot of good in the community. I remember him when I had 3 Square Music Foundation. And y'all know that was back in the day. That's when kids was a little different back then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They was kind of off the hook, but the kids these days, we got some other things going on. So absolutely, we're going to talk about a lot here. What do you think, Aaron? What's going on? Are you all spiffy?
Oh, I just tried to put on a little something because I know I was coming here with Busy One Radio with the fabulous Kim Devine.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, well, of course, there's a lot, going on, and we've been in the game for a while, and we continue to grind. We continue to understand more about our people, our community, especially our youth, as we see a lot of problems when it comes to gun violence, mass incarceration, and school dropouts, school expulsions, and a lot of issues. And so we wanted to develop. We have a book called "Who You Gonna Serve" that's addressing the issues, and also working on a short film also to deal with that issues. But we really want to educate and raise awareness, regarding our youth, because a lot of times we can see what's wrong, but we don't know really what happened. We can see Johnny at 13 with a gun and already involved with violence and drugs, and we say that's wrong, but we don't know how he got there. So we want to be able to educate, raise awareness regarding the condition of our youth and our future of tomorrow, to understand our judicial system, to understand mental health and trauma, and a lot of contributing factors to the behaviors that we see in our community.
Right. So I know you were involved with the program a year or so ago. What happened with that program?
Well, several programs, all depending on particular one. I know I was with the city. We had a program called the Outreach Workers, and then we collaborated with the Serve Initiative, Cincinnati's initiative to reduce gun violence. And we were overall 5 districts, first responders also with Cincinnati police on those crime scenes, on those homicide scenes, to be the buffer between the community and the police. Because a lot of times when there's a homicide in the community, there's an uproar. Right. You see a body laying in the street, you see friends and relatives, and everybody's just, ecstatic, and especially the mothers. And then when they actually, identify the body, it becomes even more hysterical and very painful to see what we're experiencing in our community when it comes to gun violence. In fact, in the last 10 years, I've been to over 800 funerals, and they're all homicides from the ages from 12 and up. And so we have a serious problem with violence. Of course, it's becoming a national, international problem. But right here locally, we have the resources to make a difference and give some understanding and try to decrease gun violence and give more of understanding to the public, because everybody has a certain fear factor and they're afraid and they don't totally understand all the contributing factors. What we see that come out of poverty, that come out of young parents, lack of understanding, lack of resources. And this is what we see in our communities. It's become big business. And our kids continue to feed the judicial system and put a lot of money in other people's pockets.
So they actually dismantled SERV then, correct?
Well, there was a lot of politics, going on with SERV, and Society Human Relations Commission was the first one to start it. That's with Stan Ross, Pastor Mingo, myself, and a couple other brothers, and we began to grow. So we actually got to 13 outreach workers, which we had 89 homicides in 2006, which was equivalent based on per capita to Chicago or New York, major metropolitan cities. And so we went to those other cities to look at their methodologies on how they were reducing gun violence. And so we brought some of those pilot programs, ceasefire, back to Cincinnati, and we're still having an impact. In a few years after we started SERV, they went from, I remember the lowest we got, I believe, was 58 homicides as opposed to 89. And so now we've been staying steady around 65, 70 homicides a year. So yeah, that program moved on to the Urban League.
Okay.
The Urban League, they took a part of it and tried to continue to deal with it. After I decided to leave, under good conditions after close to 20 years, and I developed the Men Involved program, because I began to see, some of the politics while you're trying to figure out who's going to get funded and what group is going to get this, what group is going to get that. Our kids were still dying where they're trying to decide who's going to get the money or who's going to be where.
Right, because if I'm not mistaken, there's an out-of-town group that's coming in, and they presented information to the city of Cincinnati.
Absolutely.
How do you think an outsider can come in and address our community?
Well, I don't think they can. I think people have good ideas because we have similar problems all over our country in low-income neighborhoods or inner city. But the resources are here. The things that they represented to the city is a duplication of what we already was doing. We were the outreach workers. We were responding to homicides and shootings. We were in the school system for grief sessions. We did mental health assessments. We was on the scene at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when there were homicides, and that was in all 5 districts. We offered opportunity for change. Pastor Mingo had a program where we had employed over 100 ex-offenders, and we seeked out ex-offender friendly programs that would hire ex-offenders, because a lot of guys, once they make that mistake and they want to get their life together and be a taxpayer as opposed to a tax burden, it still was blocked, based on their record, and when you continue to get doors slammed in your face and you continue to try, it can be discouraging.
So we were talking the other day about the government, and as each one of our people go to prison, what's that dollar amount that's put in the government's pocket?
Well, they're making millions, trillions of dollars within the judicial system. I was speaking to some youth at the Super Teach program, and I was just giving an example just to check their math out. I said if the state, like DYS, a youth detention center, if they would get, just as an example, $50,000 just to house you for 9 months, if you came in there with an 18-month sentence, that's like $100,000. So 10 of y'all is already $1 million. So I try to explain to the youth, if you think you're hustling, you're a gangster, you're doing different type of home invasions and robbing, they make more money on you than you can ever make out here on the streets.
Exactly.
And it's become big business, and it has a collateral damage, to your future when you try to move forward with employment. If you want to get loans for school or business, or even ability to vote, it kind of locks you out of society. And a lot of people go back into survival mode when you try to come forth to do the right thing. And now there's so many barriers and blocks. You know, I had a young man come to my office one time. He had been in trouble. He had a record. He had 2 kids. He told me one morning he woke up. His 2 daughters looked at him. He looked at them. He looked in the refrigerator. And there was no food. And he had been trying to get jobs. Door slammed in his face. You know, he was trying to hold on. And he told me he can solve the problem. All they have to do is get a gun and a pack, and they can eat. And I recognized that that was wrong thinking, but I come up with a concept, wrong with a real reality. I call it WARR, WARR, wrong with a real reality. The reality is that his thinking is wrong because I could send him back to prison or he could even be killed. But at the same time, going through the process to wait for money or sign up for Job and Family Services, it's a long process, but your gas and electric and your rent is due now. Your kids need to eat now. And so sometimes guys make tough choices, you know, under the circumstances, and they end up back in the same situation. But sometimes they feel it's worth the challenge because, you know, the family need to eat. And so it's a vicious cycle, you know. So it's really about being able to maintain yourself and go through the process while you're waiting. And it's very difficult in terms of reality. It's very difficult sometimes for change to come.
Yeah, because I heard you mention mental health in this mental health month, right? Is this mental health month?
I'm not sure, but mental health is every day.
It is every day. True. That's very true. But I think a lot of our kids have mental health issues, and our parents, and they've been through trauma, and they have PTSD, and it's not being treated.
Yeah, absolutely, and misdiagnosed. It's about 90%, might be safe to say 95% of the youth that's in the juvenile system have some sort of a mental issue, diagnosed with ADD or ADHD or trauma or anger or anxiety. Some are on medication, and some don't like the medication because sometimes medication has side effects. So a lot of times they self-medicate, you know, with marijuana or alcohol or pills because of some of the physical things that they feel. And when a person don't understand mental health, you can just see the behavior and you see what's wrong, but you don't really know what happened. That's why law enforcement and some people who can't make that quick assessment, a mental health person can be at danger to be killed or hurt because somebody don't understand, especially when the mental health behavior turns over to criminal. It's one thing to have mental health and have some issues, but when you cross over and your behavior turns criminal, then that's when something really bad can happen to you, or you can be killed when people don't understand, you know, the behavior. And like I say, it's the big thing. And one thing I learned is some kids don't even have a chance because it could be, some people have it hereditary. You know, it can be inherited. If the mother had it, or the father had it, or it's in the family, sometimes the kid can be born with it. So they're going to have a struggle. You know, even the Bible says, you know, when a kid is born, he wakes up to days of trouble. And so it's a long uphill battle with those who already have those mental illnesses due to being hereditary or inherited through a family member or a parent. And so it's become big business because we have to deal with it. And so there's institutions, and there's doctors, there's medicine, and there's
so the people that are making the money, it's not us.
No, absolutely. No,
It's not us.
you know, I had
You know what I mean?
I had a vision one time. It's turned into big business. It turns into big business, and we need to understand that we need to make sure our kids are better assessed before we automatically put them on medication so fast, because that can contribute to other forms of addiction and other forms of increasing other forms of mental illness. You know, stress can turn into, you know, more anxiety, depression. And sometimes when you're feeling these things and you don't understand the feeling, you know, you want to escape. And that's where drugs and alcohol and pills and certain behaviors, you know, come in, anxiety, and people act that out. And sometimes people misdiagnose, especially some parents who don't know your child has a mental health issue. You just think my child is bad. And so they can hit a child, beat a child, cuss a child out, you know, and then the child goes to school. And so he carries that with him to school. The teacher don't know what happened, so they're just going to suspend him because they're just looking at the outward behavior and don't know really what all took place before they became to school,
Right.
whether they ate or not.
Right.
You know, some people can't afford to buy their kids. I had one case when the teacher kicked the kid out of school because they wasn't paying attention to the assignment that was on the board. But she didn't know that he needed glasses. And the mother couldn't afford to buy the kid glasses. So he was at a disadvantage in terms of why he wasn't able to participate or read. So the teacher misdiagnosed the person and said, well, get out of my classroom because you're not participating, not knowing that they had a problem even being able to see. So there's a lot of contributing factors that we have to look into to make sure that if a child or a person has mental health issues, that they don't get criminalized right away, make the right assessment so they can get help as opposed to being quickly institutionalized.
And so you're currently working in the court system, working with the kids.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm the founder of Men Involved with Diversion, Leadership and Mentoring Program, and we are contracted with juvenile court and probation. So we get the youth that's already on their way into the system. So we try to either do the prevention part or the intervention part.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where I see what's happening with this new day and time. A lot of our kids are being expelled and suspended from school for modern technology, the social media, the Snapchat, inappropriate stuff that they put on Snapchat and stuff. Some of them have videos where they rapping in codes and talking about who's going to get shot next. Actually, I want to let you young guys know that law enforcement can take your phone and some of the stuff you have on your phone, they can use it to prosecute you in a court. So that technology, you can have fun with it, but also it can work against you.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of guys that's they doing these TikToks or whatever. They got all this money and they have the drinks and then they have the guns.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you want to be on social media displaying this type of behavior and the cops seeing all this money, they seeing this
Absolutely.
gun. Don't you know you're gonna be targeted?
And see, they're emulating what they see on television or on BET or with rappers. It seems like they're not able to rightly divide the truth of what's real or what's Hollywood. And so prosecutors are actually prosecuting young men who's doing these type of gestures with guns and money and stuff like that. And
So the prosecutors, the police
Mhm.
and the prosecutors have a way of tracking you when you on social media.
Well, actually, if you get arrested, they're going to confiscate your phone.
No, but this is what I've heard, that there is a person who just does social media at the police.
Mhm.
So they're watching all of this stuff on social media so that they know who to go to when they see that.
Well, there's a lot of cameras, hidden cameras, that they have a lot of surveillance of. We were doing I was with the city, we were doing what they call call-ins. And all the men who had been identified with gangs or groups, violence, or gun charges or drugs, they're already kind of on the list. So they know who they are, they know where you are, they're watching your area, and they have surveillance. And they actually can use that against you in a court of law. When you try to have an attorney and say, that's not me, then they pull up video of footage and say, is this you?
Yeah.
And it makes it very difficult for me to defend because as a court advocate, I try to be that voice so the judge can see a broader outlook of this individual instead of just going on what he's reading off of paper or as a prosecutor saying.
So when you see something like that, what do you say?
Well, I had one client where, we were trying to get him on probation for his first CCW charge. And they confiscated his phone. And, on the big screen in the courtroom, they popped him up. He's on there smoking a blunt, waving a gun with a silencer on it. And so it made it very difficult for me to deny, what you're able to see on video.
Right.
So, you have to be careful what you're doing
Stop.
with that social media because the feds are even watching. And once they get on your track and your number, they're watching you. And they're just waiting for the right time. One federal guy watched the guy all the way until his daughter was graduating from high school and came and arrested him at the graduation. Wow. Just to show you sometimes they can watch you for a while before they drop that secret indictment on you. So
They're trying to get as much information.
they want to have much solid information so they can make an arrest and have a strong case for prosecution. And so you have to be careful. And sometimes, even if you get a lawyer, because some of that stuff in the courtroom is by a revised code that the judge follows. So sometimes the judge can rarely give you a serious break unless you're a first-time offender or, based on what the level of your crime is. Because they follow the revised code. So a lot of times you can pay $10,000, $20,000 and still go to jail.
Wow.
But I found the way, the best way to beat the system is not to get in the system at all.
Not to get in the system at all.
Which is
Because-
ridiculous.
I mean, just for me, it's just hard to conceive that they're making $1 million and we're for our people, our young people, our older people, and we're not getting none. So I want to see how we can turn this around where we can have programs to keep our kids and our adults out of the prison system.
Absolutely.
And be able to live just like they live. You know what I'm saying? Because all the knowledge that you have and all the people you work with and
We actually can save the city money when they spend billions on incarceration and feeding prisoners and clothing
That's
prisoners
not the
and housing
answer.
prisoners if we could stay funded. The problem is being able to stay funded, because when you start working with an individual who's trying to change his life and you develop an action plan and start working on his basic life skills and personal development, you need time to foster that relationship, to give them turnaround time.
yes,
Even like if you join a church, you don't just get saved and pop to be perfect the first day.
right,
It's grace and mercy
right.
to give you time to overcome habits and addictions and diseases that already influence your life. Yeah. So if we can stay funded, we can save the city a lot of money that they have to use for incarceration by funding good programs, like some programs that you have to help people, with housing and stuff like that and residential. Because sometimes once a kid does time or a person does time, once they get out and go back into the same situation, it's very hard to get different results.
Right.
So some of them need a residential place where they can develop some structure, have an action plan, get them back on point for school, start finding out what their long and short-term goals are, remove the barriers. Because, you get right out of jail, you got kids, right away you got child support issues. You have a lot, you're trying to find a job. So it's a lot of barriers to make it difficult for a person, to get their life back, even when they get out.
Mhm.
And it's easier to give up and go back to the streets than it is to go through the process,
Yes.
to go through the change. But I always tell them, you have to make where you're going greater than what you have to go through.
Yes.
Did you catch that? That was a nugget. Make where you're going greater than what you have to go through.
Yes, great.
And so once you are focused that your life and your value is so important, and your children is so important, and your family is so important, you don't mind going through the process of taking a lesser job or a job that's very humbling to you. But just have a plan to start here and stay positive knowing I'm going to get here.
Right, and it's hard for
It's
them
hard,
to do that.
but the reward is great once you get there.
Yes.
The reward is so gratifying, and you won't even experience the feeling unless you get there. And I had that experience, with my struggle coming up in life. I got in trouble when I was young. My father was on crack. My father was on heroin. Back in the 60s, you think fentanyl and stuff and heroin is new. No, it's been around for a long time. In fact, my father was so much involved with drugs, and there was like 9 of us. We lived downtown years ago on 1212 Broadway. Now gentrification has turned that place into, retail and fancy restaurants. But I remember on the 4th floor, and back then, a lot of apartments had fire escapes. So the only way out is to climb down the fire escape if you have a fire, especially on the 4th floor. And he put all of us in, my brothers and sisters, in the front room. And he set the kitchen on fire. And I remember sitting there about 7 years old thinking like, wow, I guess I'm gonna die today. Because he was afraid of my father, because he was violent when he was, high. And, I used to see him argue and, mistreat my mother. And so we were afraid to like run out of the room. So we were just sitting there and I could hear the fire cracking and popping, burning in the kitchen. And we could have been killed and we was on the 4th floor. So even if we were trying to get out, we'd have to jump out the front window, 4th floor window, or try to climb down this little skinny fire escape. Just lucky that my aunt just happened to be staying with us for just a couple of days during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the door was open and she came in. I heard her in there fighting and wrestling, putting that fire out. And I thank God that's why I'm here today.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so that, you know, and we were living in poverty. I don't know right today why my father set the house on fire. I don't know. It was because he had too much responsibility with his family and kids. We were on welfare back then, getting the government cheese and you know, powdered eggs and all that kind of stuff and fried spam. And so I don't know, or if he was trying to burn the house down so we could get a house from the Red Cross or someone would help, or he was just so distraught on drugs that he just, you know, lost his mind. So I believe God has me here for a reason, and that's why I want to give back. Because later on, my mother moved on with my stepfather. And then by the time I was 10, my stepfather shot my biological father when I was 10. He tried to come back, and my mother had moved on. You know, that was a traumatic experience. But I'm here to say that you can get a second chance.
Yes.
You can come up, and I started learning earlier to dream, to set goals, and to know that there's something better out there. And my destination was greater than my situation.
Right.
So that's what got me through, and that's why I'm here today standing strong, to let young people know if you can just weather the storm, you know, the sun will shine again.
The sun will shine again.
Yes, but it's critical now. It's really critical now because I recognize to see the same thing almost every city in Cincinnati. How can we have the identical problem in every low-income community, you know, in all the cities? It's a pattern when you see the air floors there, you see the areas that's underdeveloped, you see kids just hang out on the block, you know, and for that to happen, to me, it seems like it has to be really organized from a higher level. This is the same thing
Yes.
everywhere.
How can you have that?
And that's what makes it very difficult and hard for us on the ground.
Right.
Because a lot of times we all fight on the ground, everybody have a program, but a lot of changes have to come from our legislation.
That's very true.
No, we're just gonna keep fighting the fight because we do get good outcomes. We do turn some lives around. We do change some lives. We do put families back together. We do develop hope and help a young man understand his purpose. And they come back. And they be some of the greatest mentors who overcome major obstacles.
That's awesome.
Some people don't make it. Some of them do. But the ones that do are the ones that can get in this war with us to help make a difference.
Right, right. So you've done some other things with music and playwriting, and tell us some of the things. I know you have a son.
Yeah, my son and both daughter. My daughter was a national recording artist, you know, back in the day. She was Erica P. She's married now. But yeah, we wrote quite a few songs. We went out on tour. She actually connected with the group Black. That was TLC's group back then. We toured Europe, Germany.
What a blessing.
Yeah, she had a great experience. You know, she got caught up in the politics with the record labels, with Columbia Records. And I think it was another label. I don't want to say the wrong one. But it was a good ride for a while. But ultimately, then my son, he also was a great writer and still doing music and, you know, like the rap game. So they grew up in it, you know, because, you know, I come up as a young actor doing plays and stuff in school. And so I developed a book, you know, as an author. It's called Who You Gonna Serve?
Who you gonna serve?
Actually, that question, who? I'm not trying to preach y'all. But who you gonna serve? There's only two powers that exist in the world. And that's good and evil. And you need to know to be on the right side.
You gonna serve?
Absolutely. And it's basically talking about the journey of four young men who find justification to get involved with drugs and violence. And they find one way out is that one is very talented in terms of rap music. So he feels that's his way. But he runs into me. I play an attorney who's taking advantage of their impoverishment. I know they're poor, so I'm offering them that I'm gonna make them rich in the music business. And so they start believing in me. And then I let them know, yes, we can do this, but you gotta sell some drugs. You gotta get a gun. You gotta get out here on the streets to make the money. Then we can build. So in their mind, they're thinking, well, I'm willing to do wrong, hoping to ultimately be right. So we'll make this money, we'll get successful, then we'll get out and be legit. But that's not always a guarantee. So that's the mindset. So I'm selling them this dream. At the same time, I'm just utilizing their ability and their talents for my own greed, you know, selling them a dream that may never happen. Because in the music industry, it's almost 1 in a million those who really can make it. And so then I developed the play. We did the play, a live stage play called Who You Gonna Serve? And it was dealing with our journey of someone who ultimately comes to that crossroad, have to make that major decision.
When did you do that?
Actually, I started in a little church years ago in 1987.
Okay.
By 1997, we went from 43 seats. It was at Bush Center, Hearst Center, I think. It was only 43 seats. By 1997, we was at Music Hall, 3,400.
Wow.
Then we took it to Atlanta and Savannah, and now, we're working on a TV series. Who you're going to serve, and we want to shoot it right here in Cincinnati and in Miami, Florida. So stay tuned. That's coming up. Kim looks good. We have to give her a party there.
I definitely want to party.
Yeah.
And I want to do the wardrobe for you too.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So basically, I want to use the arts now as a form of disseminating the message, so people have visual aids, so young people can see where they are in the equation. Because I want them to see that they think they're my boys, but I'm really just using them. If one of them get killed or hurt in their process, I just go get me another kid in the hood. He don't mean nothing to me, so I would like to let them see the structure while I'm laying back, living this lavish life with girls, hot tubs, money, while they out here in the streets taking a chance on being killed or locked up for a very long time. So I like to show that process, and then I like to show the family structure, how that mother feels, knowing that her son is in the streets and he may be killed or he may go to jail for even a longer time.
Have you thought about a movie?
Oh yes, definitely. The script is ready already. We're shopping it now.
Yes.
We're shopping right now. That's one of my long-term goals.
That's awesome.
And we want to shoot right here in Cincinnati and Miami.
Wow.
Yes.
I definitely want to be a part.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to be a part.
Absolutely.
So we've been talking about what we could do
Yes.
together
Absolutely.
and others as well. We're looking for others to participate. We're going to do a tour
Absolutely.
of the city,
Yes.
creating peace in combining families. And I'm not sure what we're going to call it.
Absolutely. Well, I like, love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor.
Men and women involved. The love thy neighbor too.
Oh,
Because our neighbor is the person that we live with.
that's awesome.
We
I
live
like
next
that.
to.
I
We're
like
supposed to
that.
support our neighbor, make sure our communities are safe, and if everybody can love thy neighbor and look out for each other, we can have a great impact. And so like Kim said, we decided to get together and we want to start off and hit about 6 to 7 rec centers, starting in June. We're in the process of putting this together where we can come out to the community. It's a platform for parents to find out resources, get more information about juvenile and court, and more about your legal rights and how we can prevent as well as do intervention. And we just want to come out like neighbors, break bread, have some good food, and get some beef hot dogs or chicken hot dogs, whatever you like, grill some burgers. It's a common thing. Food brings people together. But at the same time, we want some great speakers there. Kim's gonna be there, speak to the young ladies on how to be a young lady and feel good and beautiful about yourself, educate our men on choices and consequences, and just bring the community together and have a platform where they can speak, especially the youth. Because we always hear the adults a lot, their opinion, what they have to say, what they think. We need to give the youth a platform so they can let us know what they're experiencing and what things are happening with them and what they can do to make life better. So we can stop the violence, stop the shooting, and start loving each other.
Start loving each other. So Busy One Radio will definitely be a part in this, and it's another good group. BMU, is it BMU, Barry?
Yes, ma'am.
Black Men United will be a part. So we are looking for you in your organizations. We don't care who it is. It's not no competition. We're trying to all come together to love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor as you love yourself.
Yes, because you know what? The people think that it's competition out here. If you have a boutique and the other person got a boutique, it's competition. It's so many people out here that like different clothing. It's okay if she goes to this boutique and goes to that boutique and she utilizes this product or that product. Stop making it a competition, because it's not. We're doing the things that we love to do And that's how we're expressing it. So
Absolutely.
we have to love thy neighbor, no matter what. If they're doing the same thing, uplift each other.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
important that we uplift each other and come together, and we got to do something.
And see, that's how we're going to build strong Black economics. Like you say, don't be in competition. Be supportive. Lift another person up. Stop the hating. Because if Kim have a store, another lady have a store, we all go shop with Kim. If this other person have a store, we go shop with them. If this brother have a dry cleaners, we gonna all get our clothes dry cleaned over here. If he got a restaurant, we gonna all eat over here. You know, that way we're building our Black economics by supporting.
Yes.
But what we do, we go out. We go to the hair store to the Chinese guy. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, and they're making plenty of money on us. I don't have nothing against our women enhancing themselves and being beautiful. But, you know, they move in our neighborhoods. The Arab, they put the stores and they make all the money. They study us. They sell gold teeth. They sell washes, chicken, T-shirts, white tees, everything, because they studied us and they're becoming rich. Even in poor communities, they're becoming rich.
Everybody is becoming rich.
All of us and off our behavior. The prisons are becoming rich on us. The Chinese is becoming rich on us. The Arab brothers is becoming rich on us. Everybody is becoming rich on us. The barbecue store, the hair store, Family Dollar, Dollar General, Walmart. We spend so much money. We spend billions. But we have to learn how to start spending to build a community, to build wealth within our own community. If this guy got barbershop, let's go to his barbershop. She do hair, let's go and do hair with her. You know, if we start supporting our businesses within our communities, we can build a level of wealth within our own community.
Wealth, respect.
Wealth, respect in our own community.
Yes.
By loving your neighbor as you love yourself.
Love that.
You know, and Martin Luther King said something that was so powerful. Ooh. Today we have incredible technology. We got technology so crazy, we get scared with artificial and simulation stuff they can do. You know, we can send a man to the moon. We have stem cells. We can do so many incredible things. Cell phones.
I seen today they gonna have weddings up there.
You know, people on the side of Mars. You know, all this type of stuff. So how can we have all this great technology for war and able to have the medicine and the doctors and the technology to save people's lives, but it's so hard to love each other.
It's us.
You know,
it's only us.
And we have to start learning more about our history so we can love each other. You know, we only been told who we are based on where we are. When we have a great, strong history that come out of Africa, there's things about us in Ethiopian and Egypt. If you look at some of the Black images in Egypt and over in Ethiopia, in Africa, you know, and so listening to some of those guys who are doctors and those who are theologians, you know, from our African perspective, we learn mostly from a Western civilization perspective, you know, and they give us different identities that don't connect us to who we really are, to see ourselves as kings and queens, most intelligent, strong, beautiful, creative. It's incredible of the math, the science, the architectural work and the ability, you know, that we have in Africa. And so only the best made it here. And we contribute incredibly here in the United States in terms of helping the economy. Great doctors, lawyers, running for president, business people, teachers, entertainers, sports figures. We've done very well. And if we can just continue to keep that love and see each other in a different way as our enemy and see each other as our brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And start patronizing each other, we can make a difference.
We can make a difference. I believe it. What about you? Feel free to call in. The number is 513-386-9412. If you want to speak to me or Aaron, please give us a call. Again, the number is 513-386-9412. We'd like to hear what you got to say. We need support. We need people to donate hot dogs. We need hamburgers. We need pop. We need chips. So if you know somebody that has resources like that, Let
Yes,
us
water,
know.
fruit.
Yes, water, fruit,
Come and
T-shirts.
volunteer. T-shirts, anything to help us
yes.
make an impact in the community. You know, we want to call Channel 9, Channel 12, Channel 5, Channel 19, 64. We want everybody to come out and let's collaborate and rejoice and loving thy neighbor as you love yourself.
Yes. I think that's the only way it's gonna work, Aaron, because we can't control the prisons and we can't control the court systems.
That's awesome. But we can't control ourselves.
We could control ourselves. If we start loving each other, it will be less crime.
Absolutely.
And understanding the history, like you said. But people out there acting because they don't understand where they came from.
Understand where they came from. And there's been so many contributing factors when it comes to mental health and trauma and people who inherited mental illness, who's born and don't even have a chance. They're just going to be a victim of the system. But there are breakthroughs and people doing positive stuff like Kim. And we can make a difference. And I know we will. But we just continue to fight, to be patient, to keep dreaming, have hope and belief in yourself and each other. We can make a difference.
Yes. And so what we have done, I partnered with a girlfriend named Tiffany Ray Smith. We have an organization called Healing Touch. We have 2 mental health facilities for men that house 5 men each. We have, she bought the Bethany houses. So we had the Bethany houses and we have men and women that's homeless that has come to us and said, we need a chance, we need another chance. So we only charge $125 a week for their room. We have 2 women facilities that sleep 5, and then we have a men's facility that sleep about 15.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yes,
awesome.
so they pay $125 a week, no matter if they've had an eviction, if they came home from prison, you gotta get a job, you gotta have proof of income, or your social security. But we are giving people a second chance, so feel free to give us a call at 480-9200. We fill up, and then people find their way out, they find new jobs, they get themselves together, and that's what it's supposed to do. We don't want people just to be relying on being there. It's a step up, you know. And
That's awesome.
I'm hoping that we can partner with you because you see the people in courts, you see them when they come out and they have nowhere to go. We want to be able to have a place for them when they come out of prison with you.
Yeah, their residential is critical.
And it's called shared living, what we're doing. Because they share the kitchen and they share the bathrooms, but they have their own room and they lock up their room. But
Yeah.
this is a new concept here in Cincinnati because I haven't seen a lot of it.
I've run into a few people I work with that was doing something like that in Dayton and Maysville, Ohio, Clarksville, Ohio, some places in Chillicothe. And we did a test market with it years ago. And residential is critical because, like I said, if someone's homeless, coming out of jail, sometimes going back into the same situation, looking for different results, really don't work.
Right.
So they need to have a place, a headquarters, a foundation to lay their head where they can think and grow and begin to find out what their issues are and to remove their barriers and give them a place of operation so they can execute, to give them, not just a hand down, but a hand up,
Right.
So they can get back in to be a productive citizen. And they just need a second chance. I'm a second chance. This is what a second chance looks like. I made mistakes when I was young, but it was another man that saw something in me that said, hey, I see something in you.
Right.
You can do better. Let me help you out. And I was humble enough not to have pride like I don't want it. And I took that opportunity. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I don't judge nobody. My family's been assaulted by drugs and violence and incarceration, and I see it firsthand. That's what really gave me even more motivation, Kim, because I've seen my relatives that have got in trouble or got strung out on drugs and went into a home and was able to revive themselves, was able to rest, was able to have an action plan on how I'm going to get to work, develop some structure, get self-confidence again, get clean, gain their weight back, be happy, and start being able to be a contributor. And those people have some of the greatest testimonies.
Yes.
And some of those people can be some of the greatest advocates because they have the blueprint. Because some things you don't learn in school or college, you have to go through the school of hard knocks, falling down, making mistakes, losing everything, and learn how to build your strength within yourself and believe in a higher power, and make a difference.
Right, because we fall down,
But we get up. And falling down,
It's
just falling down is good because you got to look up in order to get up.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so it's all part of a process. Everything is part of a process, and sometimes we don't understand until we go through the process. You know, and so it's like in the dirt. Dirt's not bad because it takes a seed to be planted in dirt in order to grow and take root and begin to develop into what God expects you to be.
Yes.
So if you made a mistake, you got some dirt on you, it ain't nothing but you just rooted in life.
That's right.
And one day, with enough water and enough sunshine, you're going to grow and develop into what God has intended you to. Too much rain to kill you, too much heat to burn you up. But the right balance will blossom you and anchor you so you can be what God intended you to be.
So are you in the church now?
Well, I have a bachelor's in theology. I did come up in the church, and I have spoken church. I'm licensed to speak in church, but I'm not like a traditional type pastor or minister. Even if I could, because I'm an actor, I can talk about it if you want me to. I can tell you. But no, a pastor is really a servant to the people.
Yes.
And so I learned that a lot of people who would benefit the most in church, they didn't come to hear that message. They wasn't there. So I like to go to the highways and byways, as the Bible says, to find those lost sheep.
Yes.
To go to those who need housing, who's hungry, to feed them, the ones that's lost. And that's my form of ministry. Yes, I do have a form of ministry, but it's not for the traditional form of ministry because I want to use the arts as a way to disseminate the message. That's why the film project is called Who You Gonna Serve. That concept came out of Joshua, the 24th chapter, a time when the children of Israel came out of bondage under the Pharaoh in Egypt. It's similar to today because we have rulers today and dictators today that have people in bondage.
Yes.
They want to hold them down.
Yes.
They want to just like a certain group of folk.
Ooh.
They don't want to allow opportunity. They want to hold people back. They want to kill people because of the color of their skin or who they are, or they're marginalized, or they're poor. We're doing that right today. We're doing that right today. And in that particular story, since there was no man around that seemed to stop these powerful people in the world today, it took God to bring down a plague upon Egypt to the extent that he had to use frogs and the water turned to blood. And the final one that made the Pharaoh release the children of Israel is when the curse came upon his own son. Then he said, let my people, let them go. And Moses heard the cry. Moses came and led the children of Israel out of Egypt. So there's a moan right now in Cincinnati and in America. And we hope one day that deliverance will come.
Yes.
Because really, even the time when the economy was supposed to be doing so great, when COVID came, it was like a plague.
Yes.
That no man who was in power had no control. And sometimes God worked in mysterious ways.
Where did that come from?
You know what I'm saying? That's very similar to today's time. So I'm playing a lawyer in the film like a modern day Pharaoh who have these young guys in bondage to drugs and poverty. And so I actually have these dreams of plagues and things happening to me that keeps getting my attention. And the lady who's playing the doctor, my girlfriend, she keeps saying, I think God's trying to tell you something.
Yes.
But I keep rejecting it like, no,
Yes.
look, I'm a gangster. This is me.
Right.
But things keep happening similar to what happened in Egypt that ultimately make me want to let God's people go.
And it's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's
Modern day
the same
version.
thing here.
We got all kinds of stuff going on. We got tornadoes and floods and famine and inflation and people strung out and immigration on the borders and COVID and people killing people on a train struggling people, people getting shot from knocking on somebody's door. You know, it's just so many incredible things happening. It seems like those that are in power are fighting against each other and nothing's getting done. So it seems like one day it's going to take another Moses to come to set God's people free. And unfortunately, there's going to probably be, you know, plagues and those types of things. Those who believe the Bible.
I mean, yeah, because we see it coming. It's coming. It's coming. So you got to get ready.
Choose who you're going to serve. Because I
Who
believe
you
there's
gonna
going to be a
serve?
power that's going to bring wrath upon the wicked.
Who you gonna serve?
Good or
But
evil.
you do so much. Are you a person by yourself doing all of this, or do you have a team?
Well, also we have the Glimmer Event Center, which I'm business partners my
Yes,
daughter.
I seen that. It's a beautiful. Tell them where that's located.
It's located in Sharonville at 21 Triangle Park, right down from Convention Center going across Kemper. Right up in the back is a facility there. And it's for your personal events, whether it's a graduation or a retirement party or baby shower or bridal shower or a platform to shoot your show or photography. So whatever you need, and it's holds 75 people to be, you know, there's a lot of people who want small, intimate things with their family of 60. And so we've been there about a year. And so people really appreciate to be able to do something personable and, you know, private for their family and friends. So it decreases the fact of anybody fighting and going crazy because most people they invite is people that they know.
Right.
So
Going back to you. Are you a person of one, or do you have a team?
I have a few people working with me.
Okay.
I have a few people working with me. You know, actually want to build a team. I definitely. That's why I want those out there who want to help fund us so we can bring more people on, so we can do more work and cover more territory. So yeah, we started out with me. I've worked with some guys with the city that I'm still in contact with. That come and volunteer, like Kurt Bell. He comes and help with our boxing program. Even the old champion of the world, Tony Tubbs, shows up sometimes. They help us with the youth program, with the boxing program to develop their skills, not to get into the boxing game, just to learn discipline, follow instructions, get self-confidence. You know, we have the basketball, and we also have teaching their basic life skills, their personal development, knowing how to make choices and consequences, learning how to be entrepreneurial, like Kim, you know, Devine. That's a great role model for our young women to feel good about themselves and beautiful about themselves. So, you know, we have our confidence and don't hate each other, you know, love each other. When you see your brother come up, don't hate, because you can do the same thing. All you have to do, God gave every last one of us a measure of faith and a purpose. And when that light switch turns on, you're able to see what God has for you, so you don't have to be jealous of what someone else has.
So Aaron, how can they get in touch with you?
You can contact me, of course, on my Facebook. Just put in Aaron Pullins. You'll see the guy pop up on there. That's me. And or you can hit me at area code 513-600-6321. We're working on our other Twitter and all those other new things I got to get caught up on. I do have a younger assistant that's going to bring me up to date with so many social media type things. Your podcast is coming, and we got to have Kim on the show. Yes. So we're just trying to do a little some positive things to make a difference in people's lives and have some resources and opportunities for change.
So you need to think about putting your series on Busy One television.
Okay, well, we got a television.
Is
that right?
Yes.
Well, I'm shopping the TV series right now.
We on Roku, we on Fire Stick, we on Apple TV. So
okay, we might be kick that first episode.
Yes,
And that was a big time red carpet fundraising, so we both can benefit, because the more that we are able to sustain ourselves, the more we're able to help somebody else.
Yes.
Because you have to have time. You have to have time to be able to work and help. Yeah. And so the more I'm able to sustain myself, the more I'm able to give back.
That's right.
That's a good idea.
So I want to thank you for coming on and
thank you for having me.
Sharing your life with us.
Absolutely.
For being out there for these people. You do a lot, Aaron. And you really need to be appreciated for it.
Well, God,
I tell you,
all glory
and
to
I
God.
appreciate you.
Thank you, Kim. I'm so glad you had me on the show.
I appreciate you because
I appreciate you too.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's rough out there. I'm telling you, sometimes
Yeah.
I feel the pain when I go to the funeral, see the mothers cry, see those boys locked up. Some of them get tattoos all on their face where they're in groups. You just see the pain, see them cry when they go to court. Go to some of the homes and look at some of the tough living conditions that a lot of kids, they run away from home. And sometimes when I go to the house, in my mind, I'd be like, wow, I almost see why you ran away.
right.
Because it's poverty and people are struggling and trying to take care of their kids, and they end up with groups and other ways to survive, and then they pray to the assistant. So, yeah, I do feel it sometimes. I haven't started drinking or smoking yet, but I do feel the pressure and the emotion of it. And so I just hope God will give me the strength, and it's not about how many people come, it's about the right people.
The right people.
And so that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing.
So love thy neighbor. We're gonna be in how many neighbors?
Yeah, we're gonna try to hit about 6 different rec centers, doing the love thy neighbor as you love thyself.
Yes.
Campaign.
So we'll have Busy One Radio. We'll have artists there. We'll have boxing.
Yeah, we have some boxing exhibitions there.
We'll have Devine Lust models. We have vendors. Vendors is $50 for outside and $75 for inside. So call me if you're interested. We want to give the whole community a chance to shine.
Absolutely.
And
Even
a chance
rappers,
to-
if you're gonna
chance
rap
to-
against violence.
Yes. Well, positive.
Absolutely.
Rappers, please, positive. But we thank you for coming on Busy
Thank you for
One
having me.
and Fashion Talk. We'll see you next week. And I expect a call from a lot of my friends talking about, I want to volunteer and I want to be a part. And if you are a business, a small business, every little bit helps. So get your business out of here. We're gonna make a big old banner and we're gonna put your name on it. Okay? So we need you. Love thy neighbor, right?
Absolutely. As you love thyself.
As you love thyself. I see y'all next week. Mwah.